Hello and welcome to episode number 5 of AITA at Work. My name is Bailey Levesque and I am a strategic business consultant and career coach. And I help women who are dealing with trouble in the workplace or looking to transition their career or start their own business, kind of get started and figure out where to go and how to do it. So I started this podcast. I wanted to be able to, kind of help give some advice, but also just to have fun. I don't think that Reddit stories can be taken too crazy seriously, at least not in this topic. There's obviously some more serious, morbid toned ones that I've seen on other podcasts, but this one, I'm trying to entertain you. I'm trying to give you something fun to listen to, maybe on your way to work, whether you're driving or walking there, but also just help relate and talk through the different situations that can arise when you're in the workplace, because inevitably difficult situations come up. If you haven't listened along before and you don't know that much about me, I'll let you know that I actually also have a marketing agency that I run, and I have a team that I work with on that. So I asked my team actually to pull these stories for me. So I'll be fully blind reacting to these ones. These stories were chosen by my team that they wanted me to react to. So I have no idea what they'll be about or what the variety of topics will be. So we'll just jump into it and see what they're all about. All right, so let's get into story number 1. So this one comes to us from r/AITA Work. Okay, so not an AITA, but it's titled, "My manager keeps tracking my bathroom breaks and it's driving me insane." Ooh. So I've been working in this office job for about 8 months now. The pay is decent, but my manager is absolutely psychotic about time management. This week, she started keeping a literal spreadsheet of everyone's bathroom breaks. I'm not even joking. She times how long we're going and we're away from our desk and sends passive-aggressive emails if we're exceeding average bathroom times. Yesterday, I got an email saying, "I've noticed you took 3 bathroom breaks totaling 17 minutes. The team average is 12 minutes. Please be mindful of your productivity metrics." Are you kidding me? I have IBS, which I've told her about privately, but apparently that doesn't matter. I'm not even taking excessive breaks, just normal human functions. When I confronted her about it, she had the audacity to suggest that I schedule my bathroom needs around my lunch break to maximize my working hours. I'm about ready to quit, but jobs are scarce right now. Anyone else with this level of micromanagement bullshit? I'm literally being timed while I pee. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Oh no. I would want to leave that job too. I don't do well with micromanagement. It's one of the main reasons that I work for myself and have for a very long time. I'm not really great at being managed. If someone even commented, "Oh, I see you took a couple extra bathroom breaks," I'd be like, yeah, there's probably a reason. It's weird and creepy, It kind of reminds me, there was a kind of like a sexist trope that kind of came up on a number of like TV shows that they would use. And they would say that in the office place back in like the 50s, when there was women working there, that the men would track the women's menstrual cycles. And that was considered quite like personally invasive and sexist. And I would say that this falls into the same category. Obviously, it's not necessarily like sexist, but it is very inappropriate, I think, to be tracking them. I think if you noticed that there was like a singular employee or a particular employee who was going to the bathroom, I don't know, 6, 7-ish plus times a day, and they were doing that every day, and that these bathroom breaks were totaling like an hour or more, then like maybe I would kind of understand, but like you also don't know what they're doing in there. And it's weird and inappropriate to ask. They could be sick. They could have tummy troubles. What if she was pregnant? What if she has urinary leak issues. What, like, you don't know what's going on. It's so weird to ask. I would hate this so much. I definitely understand. I would say absolutely start looking for another job. I understand holding on to the job for now, and you're just going to have to kind of ride that out if you just can't leave, but find something else because working for someone like that is crazy. I don't know what the workplace is or what the situation is. If there's an HR, I would actually raise this to HR as well. I feel like this is some sort of personal violation of some kind. So I would talk to HR about it, and maybe they can help manage the situation. I'm sure you're not the only person at work that's uncomfortable with this. So that would be my advice. Okay, so we're jumping into story number 2. So this one is actually quite short. It's not actually from Reddit, which is fine. I didn't tell them it had to come from Reddit. So this story actually comes from a Refinery 29 article. I'll link it below. It was titled 15 Australians Share Their Boss Horror Stories. It's a woman named Espina. She is 25 and she lives in Sydney. So it's quite short, but we'll read it. During a 6-month probation review in an office management position, I was pulled into a meeting with my boss and her second in command. She told me I was doing everything correct and exceeding expectations when it came to the job description, but that I needed a new wardrobe. She wasn't happy with my personal style and said that I didn't have to spend a lot of money on the purchases she wanted me to make. I was close to minimum wage at the time. Okay, like that's the whole story. I know it's really short. That's really crazy. Yeah, the context that's given is that the boss is not happy with her personal style. So we don't know what the personal style is. She's not mentioning anything about she's dressed inappropriately, like her clothes are too revealing, too immodest. It's just that she doesn't like her style. Like maybe she's a little bit more on the gothic side and she doesn't like that. Well, you know what? As a boss, you don't get to change your employees. You know who they are when you hire them. You can't change them. Even if you hired someone and they were very preppy and then they went through an emo phase, like, it is what it is. You can't force them to dress differently or change in any way unless it's a violation of, standards for, like I said, like modesty standards, or if there's standards for like some sort of dress code, like at Starbucks, like the whole earrings thing, or, you have to be within a certain vibe or whatever. Yeah, this is pretty crazy. It doesn't surprise me. There's so many bad bosses out there, honestly. I have seen a lot of other bosses be inappropriate like this. I was let go from a job once because my boss wanted me to do her hair for her because I used to do hair. Sort of. I used to work in a salon and then they taught me how to do hair at the salon so I could help them do their hair. I'm not a licensed stylist. I'm not claiming that. But then I also was a beauty influencer. And when I was a beauty influencer, then I did hair extension, was like a big thing. This is all my hair. I don't wear them anymore. But I was partnered with hair extension company. And so a lot of my blogs and posts and stuff were around hair care and doing your own hair. And I used to dye my own hair and everything. So I had a boss. So she knew this about me and it was a totally different field. And I was doing event management stuff. And she asked me to do her hair, dye her hair at her house one night for a date that she was going to have the next day. And I was like, I can't. I was genuinely busy, but I also didn't want to. She probably could sense that I didn't want to. I was just like, no, I don't want to do that. And so then she ended up letting me go literally the next week for and said that I was not being good at my job, which was absolutely not true. I was a rock star at that job. So yeah, you get a lot of bad bosses and I don't want to single them out, but I have consistently had bad interactions with female bosses. And this is also a female boss. I've had a lot of negative interactions with female bosses specifically who get nitpicky about these things, about what I wear or wanting to be my friend. And if I don't want to be their friend and hang out with them outside of work, then they get really mad. Men as bosses have their own issues. But I do see this like over personalization kind of issue with a lot of bosses where they're bringing judgments about your personal life or who you are as a person into the workplace a little bit more than like maybe a man would. Maybe that's unfair to say, but that's been my lived experience. And I feel bad for her that this was kind of thrown at her because it's not, if you are a boss, if you are in leadership, if you're a manager and you have employees, you don't get a say on what they do in their personal life, in their personal time. It's so inappropriate to even like bring it up. They're not even obligated to tell you. You're trying to build a specific type of culture and you want like certain types of people. It's your job to figure that out before you hire them in a way that's like, compliant with HR standards. And, if you end up finding out like, oh, they have a style I don't like, or, oh, they like metal music and I don't like that. Too bad. You hired them. That's not a good enough reason. I would just be cautionary if you're a woman who's in a leadership position, try to make sure that you're not bringing too much personal judgment into how you lead your employees. Because I know it's easy to do. But I would just say, like, let's try to not do that as like women leaders, because it's not very empowering and helpful for the women that we're trying to like build up and raise up that work for us. All right. Story number 3. This one does come from Reddit. This one comes from AITA. AITA for not giving my vacation day to a coworker who was getting married. My job does vacation days by seniority, and we submit the bulk of our vacation requests at the same time every year. So you kind of need to plan ahead if you have big plans, or you need to work around the days that are still available after we submit all of our leave requests. When we did this process in March of 2025, I submitted a request for the day after MLK Day in January 2026. The day after a holiday is brutal at my job. There's a lot more work to do, and you are often stuck there late. I have frequently tried to get the day off of a federal holiday off. Okay, that's fair. Lucky me, there was one slot available and I was the only person to request it, so I got it. Fast forward to December of 2025. A coworker approaches me and tells me she is getting married. This is top secret info and she is only telling a few people. But she would really like me to let her know if I cancel my vacation day so she can put in for it. She was able to get 6 days off for this secret wedding, but she really wanted my day off also. Okay, that's fine. I'll let you know. I could tell she was expecting me to immediately agree because she seemed kind of dejected. A day or two later, she tells me she doesn't want it anymore. I said, okay, I probably wasn't going to cancel it anyway. She said she thinks I would have because it's a big deal. After this, our relationship at work was about the same still, which is to say I hardly know this woman, and we're not friends or anything, just cordial coworkers. Not long after the vacation day request, there was a point where we were being forced to work overtime based on our seniority level. She was first in line and I was second. She asked me if I would trade spots with her because she had something going on after work, and I said I didn't want to do that. After that point, she has stopped talking to me entirely. A couple of my other coworkers seemed a little standoffish towards me now also. I can only speculate that it is because of something she said, but I don't know for sure. Look, I'm not doing anything on my vacation day. I just don't want to work that day. I put in for that day off almost a year ago, and I didn't want to work overtime on that day either, but I don't have a ton going on. I'm just flat out didn't want to. Maybe I should have tried to help my coworker out more. AITA for not canceling my vacation day and not working the overtime for my about to be newlywed coworker. This one's interesting. So I don't know what the vote was. It didn't say like an overall vote. I'm going to guess that they were voted not the asshole. I kind of think it's like no assholes here. I don't think that the coworker is an asshole for asking. I don't think that she's an asshole for being a little bit upset that the coworker is being inflexible. I would probably, to be honest, I'd probably feel the same way. I'd feel a little bit like, okay, but like, it's my wedding. Like, you can't help me out at all. Like, is there something you want? Is there a day you wanted off that I have taken off that I could give to you? Like I feel like when you're in a workplace and you're in the office with people, even when you're not like that close with them, I don't think that it's fair for her to expect. And honestly, it sounds like the bride just kind of dropped it. So I don't feel like she was overly like pressuring, and like she wasn't being overtly rude and mean about it. But like there is going to be some tension when you're in a workplace, especially when it's a lot of women, kind of end up getting labeled as very inflexible and not helpful, not for any good reason. Like they're not entitled to it, but there's a sense of camaraderie that you kind of want to build within your workplace. There's a sense of this person has my back and I'm going to have theirs. And little signs of goodwill, like being willing, especially when you have actually no plans to use this vacation day for anything other than you don't want to have to deal with the extra work that comes along with that day. I think that it's just not showing goodwill to your coworkers. And I think that that's probably what you're feeling, is that people are a little bit sus on you now. They're not really sure if you are someone that really has their back, someone that they can trust, someone that they can rely on. It's not your obligation to be accommodating for your coworkers, but it goes a long way when you do these little things to try to help and be supportive, because you never know when you're going to need their help back. So I don't think that they're inherently the asshole. I just think that you could have, if you wanted to maybe do a little bit more to build some goodwill from your team, from your company, like the people that you're working with, not the company itself, but like, the people you're working with, your colleagues. I would have given her the day, especially because it's for that specific reason. If it was just, hey, I'd like to extend my holiday, that like I'm going to Disney World and I just want to extend the holiday, then like that's totally fair. But I think when it's a wedding and you're not doing anything and then you're not willing to, like I'd be a little bit like, oh, this girl, like you don't really want to become that girl at work who people just generally view as not helpful, lacking compassion, like, because it is lacking a bit of compassion. I don't know what your personal situation is, but you could have easily said, okay, like I'll do it, but like you owe me one, and then pick another day that you'd like off, and then you guys could trade. Like there's so much kinder ways you could have handled this. So that would be my personal opinion on it. Just knowing what it's like to work in a workplace. If you become the person that's like known for being a bit difficult and disagreeable, it's not going to get easier. And like, you need to have people on your side when you're like working together. It really helps. So that would be my only caution, is don't put yourself in a position where you get the reputation as being the one that's difficult and not helpful and not like supportive and there for the other people on the team. Okay, so let's jump into story number 4. This one comes to us from AITAH, and it was voted not the asshole. AITAH for telling my new work colleague that she has no right to control our office habit. So I, 35 male, have been working in this office for 3 years. We currently hired a new girl, 25 female, and she sits diagonally in front of me so I can see her at my desk and vice versa. We were about 1 meter apart, and she has been working for 3 weeks and has been trying to control our office habits based on her liking. Here are the issues that has been happening and what triggered me to do what I did. Okay. I have unhealthy eating habits and snacking a lot during work. She mentioned twice, jokingly, said that how I tempted her for eating cakes and how can I stay skinny even though I eat like a pig. I offered her some and she refused, saying that she was trying to lose weight. commenting on your coworker's weight is like not appropriate in any circumstance. So strike one against the coworker. Fine, I stopped snacking on my desk, but my other colleagues and I still have lunch at desks and when we are quite busy. Then by the end of the first week, she reported to HR and said that people should not have lunch or eat at their desks because it can be unhygienic and the crumbs might fall on the keyboard, etc., and attract bugs. She also mentioned how she was annoyed by me eating ice cream, cakes, bread, etc. during work hours, and it disturbed her because she's trying hard to lose weight. Not your problem. So HR sent us all emails, and now everyone in the office, everyone can no longer eat anything at our desks. That's harsh. On her second day, was that on her first day? That's okay. I'm not sure, but okay. On her second day, she complained that the girl sits next to her, Jane, was using a very strong perfume and the scent nauseated her. Jane did wear strong perfume, indeed, but it wasn't that horrible. All of us could tolerate Jane, and suddenly, because the new girl couldn't tolerate her, and Jane was the one that had to change. Number 3, between our team, 6 of us collect $10 a week to buy lottery tickets. One of the guys on our team is Muslim, and he doesn't gamble, so he's never participated, but yet never discouraged or criticized us. We offered this girl to join us, and she criticized us about how gambling is bad and said that it's very unprofessional to be collecting money to gamble in an office environment. Oh my gosh, she's such a Karen. What's happening? She actually brought this to HR, arguing the harm and risk, and if we happened to win millions of dollars and did massive exodus, it would harm the company. Luckily, HR didn't do anything about it. Good. Okay, number 4. The Muslim guy prays twice a day in our stationery room. Unfortunately, we don't have a prayer room in the office. He has got his praying mat and some other stuff in our stationery room and has been there since I started working. She suggested to move him somewhere as he shouldn't be putting personal belongings in a common area. She told the other girl on our team that the old mat was not pleasant to look at. Okay, what happened today? Our desks lay out in a shape like L, and my desk is next to a glass window. In our team, there are 7 people excluding her, and all of us are sun haters. We always pull down the shade, and especially the guy sitting on the other corner. They said if the window is open, the sun would glare on their computer screen in the afternoon and making them not be able to see their screens very well. This girl has been complaining about how our corner is too dark and gives bad vibes, and she needs to have the shades opened up. She mentioned how the sun will make people happier and increase productivity. I couldn't stand her anymore, so I stood up from my desk and I didn't yell, "Look, blank. You have been here for less than a month, but you keep telling us what to do. We have been changing our habits to accommodate you, but then you keep pushing things. You can't keep telling us what to do. I think the best thing for you is to move to sit where HR people sit because it's always bright and you are closer with them than us anyway." Interesting. She then said, "I hate women and I'm bullying her," and she's telling our manager in HR about this. Okay, I forgot this was a man. Okay, to recap, it's a 35-year-old man who is OP in saying this, and then the new girl is 25. So am I the asshole? Did I bully her? Is it acceptable for a new hire to tell older colleagues to do these things? Small, not so irrelevant update. I was just talking about this with my colleagues who work downstairs in the storage room. I don't go there often, but this new girl has to go there every day as part of her job. And he told me a story. In my company, we hire a guy with Down syndrome to do some restocking. Let's call him Bob. Apparently, a couple days ago, an older lady who worked in the kitchen was wearing a Pikachu apron. When Bob saw the kitchen lady, he yelled, "Pikachu!" and then ran and touched the apron. So he would have accidentally touched her breast too. According to the colleague, the older lady just laughed and didn't make a fuss. The new girl witnessed this and said Bob has sexually harassed the old lady and she would report him to HR. LOL. She complained that Bob's behavior is very inappropriate and unsafe. Thanks for all of your input, though. I definitely going to talk to the rest of my team and we might meet up with HR and my line manager and work on remediation of this situation. Regarding the comments on my piggy eating habits and my skinny appearance, my other colleagues pretty much say that all the time, which I don't really mind. So I guess it's not a big deal for a new girl to say that. I won't bring that up in the meeting. Okay. Super interesting. There is an update. Oh, there's a couple updates. Jeez. Okay, so initially, yeah, when I was reading it, I forgot how old she was. And I was thinking to myself, she's either very young or very old. But yeah, being very young, that doesn't surprise me. Gen Z has a terrible reputation, kind of anecdotally across the board, for how they behave in the workplace and that they want a lot of accommodations and have a lot of entitlements. Now, that's very broad. That's very general. Obviously, that doesn't apply to everyone. I would just say, I think there's a generic sentiment that is the reputation that Gen Z has. So I'm not surprised that she would come in and think, I know best, I know better. I mean, we've all kind of been there. I certainly, when I was really young, did I think like I knew everything and thought that it was okay to kind of like push that on other people? Yeah, sure. Of course I did. Everyone's kind of like that when they're younger. You just kind of think that you really know and you don't really understand why, the older people have kind of like settled in, like they've lowered their standards in a way that they make certain decisions that they do, that they're willing to be tolerant of certain things that seem intolerable to you. It's just kind of, it comes with age and it comes with working in a workplace for longer to understand. I don't actually get to change everyone here. I have to kind of just put up with certain things. And if certain things are intolerable to you, then like that's probably not a good place for you to work. Like a lot of offices nowadays have an office culture where you can bring your dogs to work. Now, that wouldn't work for me. I'm allergic. But if I started working at a workplace and then people were bringing their dogs to work, then am I allowed to complain about that and like make a big fuss and a big stink about it? Not really. Like I knew that it's my job to do due diligence to make sure that this workplace and this culture is something that's going to actually like function well for me. And I think too many people don't take the time to really truly sit down and evaluate if their workplace is going to have a good culture for them. If you have non-negotiables in your workplace, you need to figure those out before you start. For me, it would be having dogs in the office. That would be an absolute deal breaker for me. I would be very sick. So it's my job to figure that out if that works for me. If she has certain requirements of, I need to make sure that my office is going to be bright and sunny and that there's going to be quiet. Like if she's at all on the spectrum or is very like sensitive and needs like certain parameters in her working space, it's your job to kind of figure that out before you start, notice these things and then make everyone else change. That's not fair to everyone else. And it's not your entitlement as an employee of the workplace. Also, it's just a clear lack of especially because of the comments and the feelings about the gentleman with Down syndrome. It shows just a naivety and like a lack of maybe bigger understanding about the world, to understand that like that's not inappropriate. He wasn't trying to do something harmful. And like the older lady understood that, but for her to make a big fuss about it, it shows that she maybe just doesn't know as much as she thinks she does. Let's jump into the first update. Wow, I didn't expect this to blow up. I'm still getting so many messages and comments. By the way, I use AI and this time to correct my grammatical mistakes. I'm not a native English speaker, and now I understand that it's not appropriate to use the word girl when referring to a 25-year-old woman. I think I said girl, so if that's offensive, apologies. But I don't inherently think that it's. I think maybe people are taking sensitivities to it because he's her colleague and he's a man and he's 10 years older than her. If I said girl, then like whatever. I didn't realize this before. Thanks for the head up. I showed this post to 2 of my colleagues and they encouraged me. And I also felt it was necessary to clarify a few things to be fair and to respond to some of your questions and comments. She actually complained about a lot of other things that I didn't mention earlier, mostly because I didn't think they were very interesting. And honestly, a few of us even benefited from them. So, number 1, okay, apparently wearing perfume in the workplace is not allowed. Got it. I guess Jane's just been lucky that no one's ever complained before. Number 2, her comment about the Muslim guy's prayer mat was more about the way it was positioned in the storage room. Everything else is neatly arranged in wooden cupboards, but in one corner there's a small table with a prayer mat and some religious items. She felt it looked out of place and thought personal items shouldn't be public shared areas. That said, the prayer mat has been there since I started, and no one in the office has raised an issue about it for the past 3 years. Number 3, about the skinny or eats like a pig comment. I'm totally fine with it. It's just part of our internal banter. I'm the only person who gets body shame, if you want to call it that. And I do allow people to do so. We don't comment on other people's bodies or eating habits, and no one is being body shamed. I agree. If she's not bothered by that comment, that's fine. Then, we only get to be as offended as the person who it was said to. I really believe that. If they're not offended, then you don't get to be offended either. So we'll let that go. Number 4, there was no HR policy that says we can't eat at our desks, and nobody complained about it until now. Everyone does it, even in our other teams like IT. The new hires issue doesn't seem to be about allergies or food smells. Her main complaint is that she was trying to lose weight and doesn't like watching people eat. She never brought up concerns about computer damage or bugs until she took it to HR. Number 5. Yes, she's currently on a 6-month probation period. This is not her first job, but her second job. Apparently worked at that company for 2 years. The first job was in a different city, and she praises that company a lot. Interesting. I'd be curious to know why she left. Number 6. I didn't mention it earlier because it kind of worked out in my favor, but one of my colleagues asked me to include it. On her second day, she asked her manager to move a cabinet closer to her desk. The cabinet used to be on the other side of the room, and I had to walk over every time I needed to use it. So now it's more convenient for me. But of course, the people who used to sit near it, including the colleague who asked me to mention this, are pretty annoyed since they use it just as much as she does. She never mentioned about mobility issues or anything like that. She just wants the cabinet close to her. Funnily, our manager complies and gets the cabinet moved. Number 7. She complained about how the IT guy who sits behind her has got a really loud ringtone. I personally, too, find it a bit annoying, but he doesn't often receive phone calls, and it wasn't too bothersome for us. Number 8. She complained about how one of our colleagues has put on headphones when working, and she dislikes it when she has to tap on his shoulder when she needs to talk to him. She literally told him, "Do you mind not putting in headphones while we work? Because I don't want to keep tapping your shoulder every time I need to talk to you, and it's disrespectful towards others," or something along that lines. We usually just send a message on MS Teams. I was going to say that. If you want to, you shouldn't be going up and tap your teammate's shoulder anyway. You would Slack them. And then if you need something. So we usually just send a message on MS Teams when we want to talk to him and he's on headphones. He suggested her the same, but she doesn't want to. Sorry. He gets to, if there's no rules against him wearing headphones, it's his prerogative. Number 9, there's so many complaints. She complained about one Filipino woman who brought a smelly lunch to work. Yes, I kind of agree with this complaint. And to be fair, the Filipino woman actually didn't do this very often, and she usually had a late lunch around 2 p.m. after people finish their lunch. A few of my colleagues and I also dislike it, but we thought nobody is perfect, and since she doesn't bring that food often, we just put up with it. Number 10. Also, my colleague told me when he heard how she criticized a few of our Asian colleagues for eating rice with a spoon instead of a fork. Why does that bother her? Number 11. She complained about our kitchen bin not having a lid. It doesn't bother us, but we can see her point. Number 12. She complained about how we should have a coffee machine. Okay, with this one, that would be great. Number 13. She allegedly reported a female colleague for wearing stilettos in the office, calling it inappropriate work attire. She also apparently reported the kitchen lady for wearing a Pikachu apron, saying it was unprofessional. Number 14. Bob has Down syndrome or some sort of intellectual disability. I don't think he was malicious or intentionally being inappropriate. He probably doesn't have the capacity to think that it's not okay to touch other people. He didn't touch our new hire, though. She just witnessed him touching another woman and immediately flagged him as a potential sexual harasser. One of my colleagues genuinely thinks she might be having some mental health issues. Clearly, people commenting here are from different parts of the world and come from various cultural backgrounds. It's interesting to see how some things are totally normal in one place but not okay in another. For instance, we've been eating at our desk for years, but apparently, according to some of you, that's a no-no in some workplaces. Well, sadly, it's not okay for us anymore either. Now, genuine question here. Excluding the perfume thing, would you complain this much within 3 weeks of your initial employment? I personally think we should just put up with some little things sometimes. Life is not perfect, let alone an office. Thanks again for all your input, and yeah, definitely going to HR on Monday. Okay, there's one more update after that. It is 3 weeks. She's been there 3 weeks. That is a lot of things to complain about. Like I said, this company might not be the right culture for you. It might not be a good workplace. To have this many little things, it's okay to notice a lot of things and feel like, oh, I wish that was different. I wish that we could change that a little bit. But when you've just started somewhere, it is not a good idea to start out with this many complaints, to come in, guns blazing, like, I'm going to change everything. I'm going to make this place so much better. If the place has been functioning well, then they're just going to feel like you're the problem. If you're just pointing out this many little flaws, especially because so many of them are really nitpicky and just personal preference things, it's not everyone's job to accommodate you. So yeah, it's pretty over the top to me to be aggressively defining that many complaints. I don't think that that's a good idea. I don't think it's going to work out in your favor. So let's see what the last update is. Too long didn't read. She resigned before HR had a chance to fire her. Sorry, haven't been able to update the post earlier due to personal reasons, as most of the suggestions here decided to report her to HR with my colleagues in a team. So on Monday morning, a few of my colleagues and I had a discussion regarding this new hire's behavior, and we decided to talk to our line manager first before HR. However, our manager couldn't come in to work that day for legit reasons. The new hire also didn't come into work. She called in sick. I mean, calling in sick in the first 3 weeks is also crazy. We then changed our plan and decided to go to HR right away. One of the IT guys joined us too, as the new hire had harassed him with a lot of unnecessary IT requests and demanded him to make a lot of changes to our IT system, so we offered him to join us to report her to HR. He suggested that rather than complaining about how she's annoying everyone with her complaints, we should just pretend to be concerned about her struggle and adjust to our environment and get HR to talk to her because we wanted her to have a good experience working with us. That's a good strategy, actually. Rather than you seem like she's complaining, so we're complaining, coming at it with like concern is probably a good approach. Then it doesn't seem like bullying on your side, which sometimes HR could take it that way. So a few of us then had a meeting with HR, and guess what? HR people were also annoyed by her. They didn't say it directly, but subtly mentioned that she had been lodging a lot of unnecessary complaints. We also suggested she might need a psychologist as she was having some sort of internal personal crisis, aka crazy. don't label her as crazy. She's not necessarily crazy because she has all of these kind of like nitpicky things. I don't think it's fair to be trying to diagnose your colleagues, but the IT guy asked if she showed any signs of these behaviors when the HR interviewed her, and they said she had asked a few detailed questions about the work culture here and also complained about some stuff like parking, but they didn't really think much of it at the time as she had glowing reviews from her referees. Probably because they want to get rid of her, lol. The HR team said that they will discuss this matter with the HR manager and will have a one-on-one meeting with her next time she shows up. However, that never happened because she sent us her resignation letter the following day, along with a very long list of complaints and things she wanted us to change. The most ridiculous thing is she actually sent the same email to the big boss complaining that our workplace was unsafe, unhygienic, non-inclusive, misogynistic, backwards, and radiating bad vibes. The HR lady who told us this found it strange that she didn't use the word toxic. One thing the HR found amusing was that she mentioned how our workplace should provide a lot of free stuff, such as bottled beverages, fruits, snacks, espresso, coffee machine, dining vouchers, feminine hygiene products, and petrol vouchers. In conclusion, good riddance. Yeah, it is hilarious that she wants the workplace to provide a lot of free snacks when she's complaining that seeing food or seeing people eat is triggering. Yeah, I wouldn't label her as crazy. Like I said, I've heard this kind of story time and time again about how Gen Z is having trouble in the workplace, not understanding that like being accommodated and everything that they want and demand isn't normal. That they're struggling to understand that they can't just have whatever they want. So yeah, very interesting story. I think that they handled it fairly well. I'm not surprised that she quit. It just sounded like she wasn't having a good time there, and she obviously figured out it wasn't a good culture fit for her either. So it's a good learning lesson for HR for things to work out for, and hopefully they can learn and grow and hire better in the future. Ultimately, yeah, it comes down, there was some red flags, HR ignored them. So they'll need to do a little bit better screening in the future, and helping people understand if they're a good kind of culture fit. On my website, I have like a quiz that you can take there to help you evaluate if a workplace is going to be a good culture fit, and for HR to help you analyze if someone's going to fit in well with your team or your company. So feel free to use that in the future. It's a free tool. Maybe it'll help kind of avoid these types of situations in the future. Okay. That was a long one. And this one is also a long one. So hopefully, yeah, you guys are okay with that. Let me know in the comments if you like the long ones, if you prefer shorter ones. Shorter ones, I feel like gives us a little bit more time to kind of talk through different scenarios and my thoughts. The longer ones is more so just me reading a little bit more. So if you let me know, I'd love to know. Do you like the long ones? Do you like the short ones? Do you like all the ones with the updates? I try to kind of mix it up, but like I said, my team chose these ones. So, yeah, well, let's jump into the next one. Story number 5. This one again is coming to us from AITA, and they were voted not the asshole. So AITA for calling my coworker work sister after she called me work husband in front of everyone. So full disclosure, I actually think that I've heard this story before. I think it was on Denver and Teresa's AITA or like Reddit podcast thread talk. And so I might have heard this one before. I don't remember everything that happens. So, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I've heard this one before. So I, 34 male, work in a small office, and we have about 30 people working here. Mary, 35 female, is one of my coworkers. We've been working together for 6 years now. We have 6 people in our department, and we have frequently traveled across the states as our work involves overseeing government projects. We always travel in groups of 2, although my travel partner changes based on the project. Mary and I are generally put on similar projects and enjoy each other's company. My wife also likes Mary. Overall, we have a very healthy working relationship. On to the incident. Yesterday, we had a happy hour in our office, and we were all drinking after work and chatting. It was a group of around 10 people that stayed back. Mary was blabbering about how we have both been traveling together so much in the last year. She was roasting me for my habits while traveling, like always, forgetting stuff in my hotel room, being sweaty and stinky when I joined for breakfast in the morning because I go to the hotel gym. Everyone was laughing, and she was making it sound how unbearable I was to tag along, all in good fun. I also told some funny and sweet stories about her and agreed with her, saying that I can be difficult to be with sometimes. Mary came to me and hugged me tightly and told me that she loves me and that I am her work husband. Oh, that's a bad sign. It was all innocent on the surface, but she might have been a bit drunk and just didn't let go of her tight hug. Also, I hate that phrase, as I do have a wife and I promise to be with her forever, and not just in non-working hours. After a few seconds, I started becoming uncomfortable and also saw a few people staring at us. So, to diffuse the situation, I took her hands off my shoulder and told her she was my work sister, and this is why I love to annoy her so much. I think that's a good strategy, honestly. I've never heard someone refer to another person as work sister, but I kind of like that better, like, oh, I like to tease you, like if you're kind of close to a coworker and you like to tease each other and kind of poke each other, work sister is a better term to use than work wife. That seemed to have upset Mary, and she left and went back to her desk and was sobbing silently. I tried to apologize to her, and she told me how embarrassing the whole situation was. She said that she just meant work husband in a platonic way, but me calling her work sister made it sound like a creep in front of the whole office. She was also angry that I aggressively removed her hands from my shoulders while hugging. I tried to reason with her that I do not like the work husband phrase, and also people gave us dirty looks when she said it. So I was just trying to make sure people do not take her words in the wrong way. We talked for a few minutes afterwards, and Mary calmed down. She hugged me again and laughed. I felt really guilty afterwards because I can see Mary's point. I made her sound like a creep by implying that she meant something inappropriate when she called me her work husband. However, I was a bit uncomfortable in that situation and just did not want people to call us that or assume something wrong. Am I the asshole for calling Mary my work sister? I am sitting in the office writing this and a bit worried if I embarrassed Mary in front of everyone. Yeah. Well, you know what? Just looking at this for this context of what we know so far, I don't think that it was inappropriate to call her work sister. I think, Mary being single and you are married, it's good to put up those boundaries. The thing that matters the most in your world is how your wife feels. And standing up and calling her work sister is standing up for your wife. And that is the right thing to do. That is the right decision in this situation. Mary kind of embarrassed herself. You didn't have to say work sister, I suppose. You could have just been like, ha ha ha, yeah, take her hands off. But she put herself out there. It seems like she's probably getting some feels, and you need to do things to kind of set a boundary, and you did. Yes, it's embarrassing for her, but she kind of put it on herself. So let's jump into the first update. Posted this on about calling my coworker Mary my work sister after she tried to call me her work husband in front of the entire office. A lot of you were asking for an update. But that sub does not allow me to post an update, so I'm writing it here. Thanks everyone for your comments and giving me confidence that I did not do anything wrong or inappropriate. As I was sitting in the office the next day, I knew things would be a bit awkward between Mary and me. Mary ignored me that whole morning. Initially, I was planning to go and apologize to her, but after the post, I decided that I do not need to do that, as I should be the one who was offended. Everyone in the office could see that we were acting weird, and I heard some people gossiping about us. One of the ladies also came to me and asked if I want to talk about marrying me. Around 3 p.m. in the afternoon, I was sitting in the office, and Mary came to my office and closed the door behind her. She was angry at me and started saying that I need to stop being an asshole and stop ignoring her. I told her to sit and talk about what was going on. She told me that she feels humiliated, and everyone has been staring at her the whole morning because of what I did. I also stood my ground and told her that I was okay with her making fun of me, but calling me her work husband and hugging me in front of everyone for a long time made the situation awkward. She told me to get over myself and that I should know exactly what she meant. Mary said that I made a big deal of what was supposed to be a joke and made it awkward for everyone. She said calling someone work husband is a normal thing and just means that she knows me intimately like a spouse would. She said that this is said like someone that's never been married. I don't know if she's divorced, but I would guess she's never been married if she thinks like calling someone your work husband and saying like, well, yeah, that just means that you know me intimately like my husband would. Your coworkers should not intimately know you the same level as your spouse. That is a problem. I would be very upset if like my husband, we work together. But when he did work in corporate tech, then if he had another colleague, because he worked with a lot of women, because there was a lot of women in the company that he worked at. And if he had another woman at the office calling him like work husband while we're married and claiming that she knew him as intimately as I do, that wouldn't have been cool with me. I would have been real mad. So, okay. She said that because we spend so much time traveling together, she knows all the intimate details of how I behave outside of work. You don't, though. You still just know like the work persona of this man. You don't, like, people are still guarded to a level, even when you're traveling, even when you're like, you know, kind of being personal with like work people. There's still like a work mask that goes on, at least for most people. I'd say the majority of people are doing this. And it sounds like he kind of feels like he's been doing the same. He has not been intimately showing everything of who he is to this person. She has more intimate knowledge of him outside of work than potentially other coworkers who have never traveled with him. But even still that, you don't know him as well as his wife would. So to think that you do is weird. It shows a unnecessary level of feeling and intimate feeling towards him on her part, which is not cool. So I stopped her and told her that I felt offended by the term work husband because I have a wife and I do not want people to use that term to describe our relationship. Good for you for standing up for your wife. Love when people do that. I told her that she would not understand as she is single, but as a married man, I really do not want anyone to describe me as a husband in any capacity except for his own wife. She said that I am again misinterpreting what she is saying. She felt as though we've known each other more time than I have been married. She knows me more intimately than even my wife. Okay. I have no idea why she feels that way, and I also behave like her husband when we travel together. She went on about how we go out to dinners together after work, how I always insist on having breakfast together in the morning, our plan of actions of the day, and I walk around in my underwear, referring to my gym shorts, around her in the morning. She also talked about how we spend hours talking to each other during the road trips. I'm the only man she can trust with any secret in her life. She said that I am the definition of a work husband, and I am just in denial. I was a bit angry at this point. I told her that I do all that because I consider her my friend, and she is delusional if she feels she knows me more intimately than my wife. I told her that I do not want to hear that term again, and is extremely disrespectful to my marriage. Only one woman gets to call me her husband, and that is my wife. Moreover, if my actions are giving her such ideas, maybe we need to stop being friends. Wow. I love this guy. He's so not the asshole. He's doing everything right. He is trying to be polite. He's trying to be firm. He's trying to set up very clear boundaries, and he is defending his marriage and his wife. His wife should be very proud of him. because this is an awkward situation. To have a female coworker who has clearly developed strong feelings for him, though she is trying to like front it in the context of, oh, it's just a work thing, but like, you're the only man I can trust with my secrets. Like, gosh, so inappropriate. She's crossing some major boundaries. He's going to have to go to HR in the end of this. She became apologetic afterwards and told me that she did not mean to be disrespectful to my wife, and it was not her intention. She apologized to me and told me to just let it go. She said that she loves traveling with me and she does not want anything to change between us. She said that I am misinterpreting her statement and just wants to move on. I don't know how you misinterpret. I know you more intimately than your wife does. Like, so inappropriate and crazy. Like, I don't know. When I was single, because I was single till I was 30, people used to tell me that there was things that I wouldn't understand until I was married. And as a single person, like, you kind of get offended by that because you're just like, oh, please, like, get over yourselves. But there is a certain level of stuff that you just don't know until you're married. And I even think that there's a number of things that I've noticed being married and being very happily married, that like people in unhealthy marriages or unhappy marriages, they don't seem to understand certain things as well as I do because I'm so happily married and such a good and healthy partnership with my husband. So yeah, I do think that there is a gap in her knowledge and understanding of normalcy, but I also think that it's one of those things where it's pretty common, you know, if you ever, when you're single, if you like kind of go for it and you try to like kind of put it out there, like, hey, I'm kind of interested in you or whatever, and then they're not interested back, to just be like, oh, I was just kidding, you know, like, oh, jokes. I'm not really. It's just self-protection. People are very willing to lie for self-protection. And so, yeah, the fact that she's trying to be like, no, you just don't understand, or like, oh, I'm just kidding. Like, yeah, of course she's going to do that. But the statements that she's making, even in defense of herself, are indefensible. So in my opinion, it's all my opinion. So she came in to hug me again. I just told her it was okay, and I stepped back. Good. You should not be hugging a woman, especially once you know she has a big old crush on you. Don't hug that woman ever again. I also talked to my wife about the incident that night. As expected, my wife was angry with Mary and told me that she hates the term work husband. She asked me if Mary ever flirted with me during our trips or has a crush on me. I truthfully told her that I really have not felt that way, and she may have just said that because she was a bit drunk and is now being stubborn about it. My wife said that she feels uncomfortable about Mary now and says that it's strike one for Mary and I need to try and put more distance between us while traveling. If she ever repeats the same behavior again, I should report her to HR. I promised my wife that I would try to reduce my interactions with Mary outside of work hours and be more guarded around her. Okay. Next update. Thanks everyone for the comments and explaining the urgency of the situation. I discussed it with my wife and I have set up meetings with my manager and HR today. I plan to not file a complaint, but document what happened last week and why it made me uncomfortable. I do not have any upcoming travel this week due to holidays, but I have to travel next Tuesday with her to a work site. I will discuss with my manager what my options are. However, I feel little distance between Mary and me for some time would be the right solution for now. I wrote a while ago regarding my coworker friend Mary being upset with me for calling her my work wife, and she called me her work husband in front of everyone. I'm sorry to leave everyone hanging, but the next few weeks were busy and the issue was eventually resolved. Thanks to everyone for the comments. They really helped me when I talked to my manager about the situation. However, the last week has been crazy, so I wanted to get some opinions on what I should do next. After my last post, my wife and I are no longer comfortable with Mary's behavior. Although a part of me thought I was overreacting and that was just part of Mary's personality, I felt the need to protect myself. I requested a meeting with my manager and HR to document my side of the story. I wrote down everything and told them about the incident at the party, as well as Mary coming into my office and the comments she made. I made it clear that while I do not want them to take action against her, I want to emphasize that her behavior made me uncomfortable, especially her comments about knowing me better than my wife and the remarks about my shorts. My manager had already heard about the incident at happy hour, as everyone in the office was talking about it, I bet. The issue was that only 4 people in our company generally work on offsite audits, and the other 2 coworkers did not want to split up because they claimed they worked well together. As a result, I continued traveling with Mary for the next couple weeks, but it was awkward and I kept my distance. My manager then called Mary and me into his office and informed us that he was planning to train a new auditor, Carolina, 26 female, and set up a schedule where she would travel with me for 1 week and then Mary the following week. We were asked to train her. I liked this arrangement because it meant I no longer had to travel with Mary. Carolina turned out to be a great travel buddy, and I made sure to not get too comfortable with her. I always dressed appropriately and professionally when we went for breakfast, avoiding late night drinks and maintained healthy boundaries. Things were great until last week. Last Tuesday, I could feel everyone staring at me when I entered the office. I was immediately called to a meeting with my manager in HR. HR asked if I had anything to report regarding Carolina, and she had made any advances to me during our work trips. I told them no, that Carolina had been very professional the whole time. I asked why I was being interrogated, and they told me that they couldn't disclose any further details, but that Carolina was being investigated by HR for inappropriate conduct. Interesting. It's not usually the woman that gets investigated. I left the meeting and Mary came to my office and asked me what happened. She mentioned that she was also told that Carolina would no longer be traveling with us and that we were asked to travel together again. I told her I had no idea what was going on. I messaged Carolina to see if she was okay and if she needed to talk. She asked if she could come to my office, and I agreed. Carolina explained that someone anonymously sent messages to her boyfriend posing as someone from the office over the weekend. The message included screenshots of Carolina sending some inappropriate pictures she had taken in her hotel room during our travels and flirtatious messages. This person claimed to be her boyfriend, that Carolina was trying to cheat with him at work, and he was trying to warn them. Her boyfriend went crazy after seeing the pictures, ghosted her, and then sent the messages to HR as revenge. Carolina was in tears, telling me that she had only taken those pictures for her boyfriend and had no idea how they got leaked or how those messages even existed. Her boyfriend was furious because he also received the exact pictures from Carolina and knew they weren't fake. I consoled Carolina, but she's in deep trouble as our workplace takes such things very seriously because we work on government contracts. I'm sure everyone suspects I am the anonymous messenger. I was told that the matter would be investigated and that Mary and I would be working together on the project again. My manager said that there was nothing he could do and also mentioned that they might go through my emails and messages on my company phone as part of the investigation into Carolina. Mary seems very happy about the whole situation and keeps talking about how excited she is to revisit the restaurants and bars we used to frequent during our off-site trips. She also keeps referring to Carolina as that pervert. The whole thing is just crazy. My wife, of course, believes that I would never do anything inappropriate with Carolina and that I wasn't the anonymous messenger. However, her conspiracy theory is that Mary, who was also traveling with Carolina, may have unlocked her phone to access the photos. It feels far-fetched, but the fact is, I am not thrilled about traveling with Mary again, and I don't think I have any other recourse to get off this project except leaving the job, which isn't possible at the time. I know many of you work in HR, and I would appreciate any advice on what I can do next. Yeah, so interesting story. I totally forgot about the whole Carolina thing twist at the end. I 100% agree with the wife. I definitely think that Mary is kind of delusional and crazy enough that she would try to frame Carolina. I mean, it's actually so easy to fake messages, like text messages and stuff. So, I mean, she had access, she had motivation. I don't know who else would have done it. And I don't know. I mean, Carolina could be lying as well. We don't really have much context or knowledge about her. I think the thing that's interesting that we have to point out here, I applaud this man so much. I think he did a fantastic job really setting up boundaries, standing up for his wife, all of that stuff. The one thing that I would maybe say to him is that he might need to try to build stronger understanding for when like a woman is interested or flirting. I feel like he maybe just doesn't know. He's a little bit naive about it. It could be, we don't know what this guy looks like. He could just be a really handsome guy. And so women kind of like hit on him a lot or have throughout his whole life. And he just kind of has normalized that that's how women talk to him because they just always talk to him in a little bit of like a sweeter, more flirtatious manner. And so he's just really used to it. I kind of feel that way a little bit about my husband. I'm biased, I suppose, but I think my husband's very attractive. And I've definitely seen women like flirt with him in front of me. And I'm like, oh, like, no, but like he didn't notice at all because I think he's handsome and he's used to women talking to him really nicely. And he's had to kind of learn when women might be kind of crossing into a little bit of flirtatious instead of just nice. So yeah, I think that just comes from being a catch. And like this guy, the way that he handled himself, the way that he stood up for his wife and his marriage and just kind of was very professional about everything. He's clearly a good guy. And so if he is really handsome on top of that and just a really nice person, which he actually sounds like he's a very compassionate person. Yeah, a lot of women would be really drawn to that. And he's not thinking about it because he knows his point of view. He's not interested. So he's not necessarily thinking like these other women are interested, but they probably really are. So yeah, obviously not the asshole. Great story. Classic one, as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, on to the next one. Okay, so this will be our last one coming from the team chosen stories. I think my team did a pretty good job of choosing stories for me. So if you guys like that, I can definitely have them choose it again. Just let me know. This, obviously, it's team chosen. That's the theme. But it means that the stories themselves have a little bit less of like a common thread. So love to hear people's feedback in the comments if they're a fan of it having less of like a theme, and a little bit more general and broad. But this story number 6, comes from AITA. And so this question is, am I the asshole for not telling my friend she was getting fired and that I saved her job, which led to her getting super fired? Okay. I work with my best friend's girlfriend. Her and I are friendly, but not really friends. If it weren't for her relationship with Jeremy, I would not be friends with her. I told her about the job in question and even put in a good word for her. She wasn't working out. She tried her best, but she had a personality clash with her supervisor. She was still in the 90-day probation period, so she was going to get terminated with no notice. That's life, really. We regularly hire a bunch of people and keep the good ones and dismiss the ones that can't cut it or aren't a good fit. We're getting rid of over a dozen people that day. I know that her and Jeremy aren't doing well financially, so I stepped in and volunteered to take her on my team. It was a lateral move for her. I didn't really need her, but my boss gives me a lot of freedom in my department. I didn't want to freak her out, so I never told her that she wasn't working out well on her team. To say the least, I can understand why she didn't work out. She's great at her job and a hard worker, but God almighty, she has a terrible job site personality. She rubs everyone the wrong way, including my supervisor. He actually questioned my decision to transfer her onto my team. I couldn't protect her from herself. Originally, she was just being terminated, and that was it. She would have been free to reapply to the company, and now she is on the NERF list, not eligible for rehire. She really thought the reason I got her on my team was because we needed her help. She alienated everyone. Again, she is good at the job and incredibly dedicated. She's just a shitty person to work with, and she brings down morale. I told Jeremy what happened, and he said he understood, but she is pissed. She said that if I told her she was on the chopping block, she would have behaved differently. She said it's kind of my fault for not warning her. I don't know. I feel badly, but she kind of dug her own grave. Yeah, absolutely. Not the asshole. Not the asshole at all. You tried to do something kind and thoughtful to help her. Obviously, like, he's your friend's girlfriend. You're not going to assume that she has like a horrific personality and that that's the core issue. Um, like, she had a personality clash with the supervisor on the other team, but I can see why you would not just assume that she just is going to have a personality clash with everyone, since your best friend likes her and is close with her. So yeah, I would maybe have like tried to get her know her a little bit more. Maybe have had a conversation with her about like, how's it going? Like, how are you enjoying working here? How are you liking your boss? Because, then you would have had the opportunity to hear from her perspective. She might have shared some of the issues, and you could have made a better decision if she'd be a good fit or not. Not the asshole. You tried to do a nice thing. It didn't work out. Sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't really sound like it would really matter if she got put on the nerf list or not. Even if she had been rehired, I don't know what she was doing at the company. I don't know what she was doing that was so terrible, but she's being pissy with you now. She's like not getting along with like everyone on the team, bringing down morale. It sounds like she's just a negative person. And even if she was able to get a job, to get hired again, I feel like it would have even been unlikely, because people would have seen that she has a bad attitude in her HR file, and they likely wouldn't have given her another chance. But also sometimes it's really hard for people that are just inherently really negative, difficult people to shift that much, at least that quickly. So it's best to just let her move on, get experience elsewhere, and go and work for a different company. There's probably some culture fit issues too. Maybe it's just not the right type of work for her. I don't know what all the issues are, but it's you don't need to come down harshly on yourself for this one. Not the asshole. All right, so that is all of my stories for today. Thank you so much to my team for doing such a good job in choosing stories. Much appreciated. I like being able to try to really, truly blind react to stories and just have no idea what I'm going to be dealing with or what's coming up. It was kind of interesting to have like not like a theme this time. It's the first time we've done that. So yeah, let me know what you think about that. If you like it, don't like it. Yeah, I'd love to hear your feedback. This is an iterative process. I'm starting out with this podcast, done lots of speaking, I've done lots of coaching and counseling and consulting and stuff like that. But, sitting down and talking to the camera and reading these stories and giving my feedback, it's kind of different. So yeah, I'd love to hear what you guys think. And I hope you're enjoying it. I'm really enjoying the process of making these. And yeah, being able to share, hopefully, what's considered some of my wisdom, but also just, sharing some of my opinions and having fun with you guys. So look forward to doing another episode, and we will see you all soon. Make sure that you follow along, subscribe, and go on Instagram. You can follow us as well. Appreciate all the support. Thanks.